all that is happening on a global scale to pause this competition, the clash of great powers, pause as they believe they are meant to be called, pause is accompanied by an attempt to push something into the background. These problems, including the oldest unresolved conflict, I am referring to the Palestinian question, and also including the issues that concern the Iranian nuclear program, they are all very inconvenient because the latest developments over the past year and a half, or even just the last year surrounding, in connection with the ongoing situation surrounding the Iranian nuclear program, we are witnessing absolutely outrageous and unlawful actions being taken by the Europeans, and these are clear attempts to unfairly place the blame squarely on Iran for what has transpired. The joint comprehensive plan of action completely fell apart, because even though Iran had never once allowed itself to violate the terms of this crucial agreement, was up until the moment when the United States in the year 2018 officially announced that they were no longer bound by this United Nations Security Council resolution. So the entire global order is undergoing the most severe trials. In the case of Iran, the Security Council resolutions were simply thrown out by the United States. And then the West, primarily the Europeans, began to accuse Iran of not complying with the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. Pause. Although I must emphasize again, it was so incredibly obvious that the West had to invent these cunning schemes. And I consider it to be a profound disgrace for European diplomacy when they deceitfully pushed through the resolution regarding the reimposition of sanctions against the Islamic Republic of Iran. We are prepared to support the efforts that the Islamic Republic of Iran is currently undertaking to overcome this crisis, including in its relations with the IAEA, and more broadly in its interactions with the West. We fully understand your position. President Putin has repeatedly told President Pezeshkian and his representatives that we will take the position that the leadership of the Islamic Republic chooses for itself in the interest of the Iranian people. This is one of our priorities from the perspective of our bilateral ties. In October, the strategic partnership agreement entered into force, signed by Presidents Putin and Pezeshkian during your leaders' visit to Russia earlier this year. The agreement has entered into force, as I have already stated, and it clearly defines the principles of our mutual solidarity, our reciprocal support on fundamental questions concerning the development of international relations. And of course, the agreement also specifies the additional measures that are required for the advancement of bilateral cooperation, for the expansion of economic investment and trade relations, as well as infrastructure projects.
We have some truly significant plans with Iran
regarding the development of our own capabilities. A common geo-economic space and the context of the trends unfolding in Eurasia, where integration processes are becoming more and more intense. And I'd say increasingly competitive, because not only Eurasian countries in the respective parts of our common vast continent, but also extra-regional players, those who, let's say, are not Caspian states, are not Central Asian countries, are not South Caucasus countries, but also, and primarily, these are our Western friends, of course. They are constantly attempting to insert themselves into the processes unfolding here, and to subjugate these very processes to their own one-sided interests. And they try to dictate to the countries of the relevant regions those decisions that primarily suit the West. It's absolutely unequivocal that this is a continuation of colonial, neo-colonial policy, the essence of which was that the West always wanted to live at the expense of others. Among the specific projects that we are developing with Iran, this is, of course, the corridor, the International North-South Transport Corridor. This corridor has three routes: the western, the eastern, and the Trans-Caspian. On all three of these particular routes, we are working very closely with our Iranian friends, including the accelerated construction of the Rasht-Astara railway section, which will allow us to provide, as we say, seamless and uninterrupted transit from the Baltic Sea all the way to the Persian Gulf. So to have very serious bilateral plans, as well as extensive cooperation plans on the international stage. This includes both BRICS and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. I have already mentioned the Eurasian Economic Union, pause. This, of course, also includes the United Nations, pause, and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, pause, with which we maintain very close and active interaction. Pause, our true potential and opportunities are immeasurably greater, pause, than the current level of trade volume might suggest. And yet, I would not forget that beyond just trade, the exchange of goods for other goods or services, we also have significant investment cooperation. Besides the North-South corridor, there is also a flagship project like the Bushehr nuclear power plant, whose construction is currently ongoing. New blocks have been meticulously planned, and their development is already actively in progress. This too represents a truly significant and absolutely vital dimension of ongoing cooperation. Any form of cooperation that strengthens the defense capabilities of the participants in the relevant processes and which enhances their combat readiness, I believe, represents a very substantial and important contribution to the reinforcement of peace and to the creation of a situation in which any aggressor, they will learn their lesson, not to try to carry out their aggressive plans. And in this connection, of course, there have been numerous initiatives in the past, including the declaration of the Middle East and North Africa as a zone completely free from nuclear weapons. We know how our Western colleagues did not really make a significant contribution to ensuring that this process would develop positively. There is a very promising format emerging, one that will undoubtedly contribute significantly to strengthening security across the entire region. And it is extremely important to note that in our considered assessment, your Arab neighbors are not supporting any attempts to increase pressure on the Islamic Republic. But military technical cooperation, of course, is one of the most fundamental areas, so to speak. The base is one of the main foundations for the strengthening of the tendency towards strengthening of pause. Unfortunately, all agreements concerning security, concerning the maintenance of the level of armaments, they were always born only after the parties involved became fully convinced of the complete futility of employing military methods for the resolution of conflicts. And nuclear deterrence is based on this very same principle, the principle of mutual deterrence. We firmly uphold the unconditional right of the Islamic Republic of Iran, just like any other nation, to access peaceful atomic energy. As a good faith member of the Non-Proliferation Treaty, Iran has every right to this. We are working and against the Islamic Republic of Iran. We have channels of communication with the United States administration. Europe doesn't want to communicate with us anymore. They're completely consumed by a delusion of grandeur. That is entirely their own choice. And frankly, with such a leadership, there's really not much to talk about. However, to the Americans, we are presenting our detailed approaches on how the current situation surrounding the Islamic Republic of Iran can be successfully normalized. We are fully prepared to offer our assistance and cooperation. The Islamic Republic of Iran, in this situation, cannot simply, as if nothing had happened, just go and talk to the IAEA again. When Mr. Grossi says, why do we insist on access to those sites that were subjected to bombings? You said at the beginning of our interview that the agency did not condemn these bombings. even though the bombing of facilities that are under IAEA monitoring, and we were specifically talking about precisely such facilities, represents the grossest violation of all established rules and international procedures. The question should rather be addressed to Mr. Grossi and his staff so that the principle of impartiality is fully demonstrated and that they do not attempt in certain situations to take political steps by playing along with one side or another.